Biocultural ecology. Most Chinese people have straight, black hair and dark eyes. They also tend to have less body hair, less facial hair, flatter faces, smaller noses, wider cheekbones, and shovel-shaped and scissored teeth. Chinese people are less likely to get acne into their older age, they're less likely to get gray hair, and they're less likely to go bald. Chinese people have the same colored skin as people living in Northern America. They do not have yellow skin. The only way they would have yellow skin is if they have jaundice. Most Chinese people have epicanthal folds on their eyes, which is why they look like they don't have eyelids. Plastic surgery is a common occurrence in China. For example, the woman will get a double slit operation where they will slit their eyes so they have a crease and an eyelid. They also get surgery where they're going to have more round eyes instead of almond shaped eyes because they find that round eyes are more beautiful. They also like to make their chin more pointy and make their jawline more structured. Being lactose intolerant is very prevalent in the Chinese society and is because of their ancestors. They decided when they were young they did not want to drink milk, which caused them to lose that lactase enzyme. So now, whenever they consume milk and dairy products, they have the normal reactions that have to do with lactose intolerance. About half of all Asians lack an active enzyme which breaks down acetaldehyde, a toxic chemical derived from ethanol found in most forms of alcohol. As a result, when they drink, they often get sick to their stomach or turn red in the face. Most Westerners have this enzyme, and consequently, they need to drink much more to get drunk or turn red. High risk behaviors. Smoking. Smoking related illnesses kill 1.2 million in the People's Republic of China. However, the tobacco monopoly in this country, the China National Tobacco Corporation, supplies 7 to 10% of government revenues. As of 2011, this equals 600 billion yuan, which is about 100 billion US dollars. Men are the most at risk group for smoking in China. They start around 18 years old and they continue until they're 60 plus years old. It is a high group of smoking. In fact, when they're 40 to 50, rarely anybody says that they're not smoking if they're male, which is pretty crazy. Pollution is a huge problem for China. You commonly see people wearing masks. The smog is said to be widely linked to respiratory illnesses such as lung cancer. Last Tuesday in Harbin, China, the city was shut down after the particulate matter of 2.5 was reached. It is considered hazardous, which is 1,000 micrograms per cubic meter, which is 40 times the safety level recommended by the World Health Organization. Schools, motorways, and an airport were closed last Tuesday as the visibility in some areas of the cities dropped to less than 10 meters. Mental health is also a huge problem in China. 100 million Chinese people have mental illnesses with varying degrees of intensities. It is very looked down on. For example, this man locked away his son for 30 years in the cement chamber he made. He fed him through a small window. The man was only able to walk like a few feet in each way. He is now let out of this little barrier they made, and he is 46 years old and shunned by his family forever. Obesity is also a huge problem for China. In 1980s, the Chinese traditional foods were switched to more sweets, animal protein, calories, and oils. Exercise decreased, and urbanization has created more migration from the rural areas to the more urbanized areas, attracting indoor entertainment and televisions, which also equal decreased physical activities, and KFC and also McDonald's, of course. By 2015, it was said by the World Health Organization that 57% of men aged 30 plus years old will be obese, and 46% of women 30 plus will also be obese, which is an insane amount. The diseases for or associated with obesity have accounted for 79% of all deaths in China, listed in 2005. Chinese nutrition. Food is an important part for the daily life of Chinese people. Enjoying food brings harmony and closeness of family. For the traditional Chinese culture, they like fresh food, such as veggies, meats, fruits, and grains, all found at local markets. They try to limit their fried foods and limit their dairy because they have a high prevalence of being lactose intolerant from their ancestors and their exposure to dairy. The Chinese culture likes to consume food that is balanced by the yin and the yang. This is the positive and negative energy in foods. The yin foods are the cold foods, such as cabbage, bean sprouts, watermelon, and coconut. According to the traditional Chinese culture, you do not want to consume a lot because they can bring coldness, weakness, dizziness, diarrhea, and stomach aches to the body. The yang is the hot foods, such as chili, garlic, onion, pineapple, shrimp, and beef. But you don't want to consume a lot at one time because they are thought to cause skin rashes, hives, nosebleeds, and indigestion. Some different foods consumed by the Chinese culture are shark fin, duck, abalone, carp, pigeon eyes, pig's trotters, sea slug, dog, jellyfish, snails, internal organs, snakes, duck tongue, and chicken feet. And it's not internal organs of people, it's internal organs of different animals. Pregnancy and child rearing practices. Pregnancy before marriage is greatly looked down on in China. It is also said that any disabilities, imperfections, or any kind of problem that might go wrong with the child is all blamed on the mother. In order for this to not happen, the mother has a certain amount of rules set for her by the Chinese traditional culture. The rules set for pregnant people are not harmful, and they are very superstitious, such as sharp foods such as pineapple and some other fruits are to be avoided as they may cause a miscarriage. Also, avoiding scissors on the bed, listening to classical music, avoiding contact with dishonest people, performing charitable deeds such as feeding the poor, and returning to the home country to deliver the baby are some rules that the woman might have for themselves. It is very important that you let the pregnant people know exactly what is going on with their baby so they can relay it with their future provider in their country. According to Yin and Yang, childbirth is a cold condition, so the woman may want to consume hot foods to keep in balance. During childbirth, the heat is seen to be lost. Cold foods are forbidden during childbirth. You should never praise a Chinese newborn because this is seen to invite the attention of demons and ghosts. Women are most likely to use wet nurses and bottle feeding instead of breastfeeding. There is no age of independence, and elderly parents can still have a large influence over adult children. Moral training, filial piety, physical punishment, maintaining peace and harmony in the family, and role modeling are all important factors in rearing children. In China, there is a one-child policy. All couples must apply for a birth permit before starting a pregnancy, and they are all required to only have one child, no more, no less. If a woman violates the family planning policy, they are required to terminate their pregnancy, and if they do not do so, the one-child policy police will come in and terminate it for you. This policy was actually applied to a woman who was 6 months pregnant. She was unauthorized to be pregnant, and family planning officials abducted her from her house in the middle of the night and brought her to her hospital and forced her to have an abortion.
Hi, we really need your help. The world is missing 100 million women. Through prenatal sex selection, infanticide, and abandonment, girls are being disposed of simply because they are not boys. This is called gendercide, and it is worsening daily. As a result, the world has 100 million extra men. Throughout history, countries with a surplus of young men, like World War II-era Japan, have launched wars or started revolutions. An excess of young men has even been connected to the recent extremist Islamic uprisings in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iraq.
We have never in the history of the world seen such a large number of unmarried males in any one country at any one time, all within a 30-year age range. We really don't know what's going to happen.
Asia sees the highest rates of gendercide.
Today, India and China eliminate more girls than the number of girls born in America every year.
Gendercide also affects the U.S. economy. In China, 6 boys are born for every 5 girls. Already, there are 37 million more men than women. Single men save, which drives the currency down artificially. The low currency is causing a trade imbalance. So, what can we look forward to if no one stops the gendercide? Here's the good news. At a historic press conference on June 1st, 2011, Democrats and Republicans, pro-choice and pro-life, male and female members of Congress signed a declaration to end the gendercide of girls. 2 weeks later, 5 United Nations organizations released a statement on the severity of gender selection throughout Asia. They call for nations to urgently prevent the gendercide of girls worldwide. Congress and the administration can make a difference by speaking up against gendercide and pushing through funding to act on these 5 recommendations. Fund more research on gendercide, ensure ethical use of technology, promote measures to support girls and women, enact legislation to address root causes, raise awareness about gendercide in society. Together, we can end gendercide in our lifetime. Consider your role and bring friends to join the movement. Here's how you can join the coalition. Sign the All Girls Allowed petition to Congress and the administration. Gather to observe 37 seconds of silence for 37 million lost girls at your school or church. Give a $20 donation to save a baby girl's life. Thank you for your time.
The traditional Chinese funeral is very elaborate and specific. For those who believe in the traditional Chinese beliefs, cremation is very uncommon, but is becoming more popular with the newer generations of the Chinese. Their death rituals are taken very seriously. Improper funeral arrangements is thought to bring very bad fortune to the family of the deceased. The type of funeral given is determined by the age, cause of death, status in society, and marital status of the deceased. Prayers cannot be offered to those who are younger than them because respect cannot be shown to a younger person. So if a family's infant or child died, there would be a silent funeral with no rites performed. For an elder, the funeral must follow a prescribed form with rites befitting of their status, even if it means that the family goes into debt, which is common. Before bringing the body home for the funeral, all the statues and deities must be covered up with red paper, and all the mirrors must be removed. It is thought that the one who sees the reflection of the body in the mirror will also die shortly after. A white cloth is hung in the doorway to signify that there has been a death in the family, and a gong is placed at the entrance of the door. It is placed on the right side if the deceased is female, and on the left if the deceased is male. The corpse is dressed in their best clothes, but never in red, because it is thought that it will turn them into a ghost. It is then wrapped in a yellow cloth. The rest of the deceased clothes are burned. During the wake, no one is allowed to wear red, because it is considered to be the color of happiness. It is customary for blood relatives and daughters-in-law of the deceased to wail and cry during the mourning as a sign of respect and loyalty, and it is done particularly loud if the deceased left a large fortune. At night, a monk will recite verses from Buddhist or Taoist scriptures, because the souls of the dead face many obstacles that may include torment and torture before they are allowed to enter the afterlife. The chants from the monk will help ease their passage into the afterlife. The Chinese greatly respect their ancestors, and so they pay tribute to them frequently. They fear death. It is a topic that is avoided and considered a taboo. Chinese elders are afraid that you'll jinx their fate by talking about it. The afterlife is similar to that of the Christian heaven and hell. The views of death, dying, and the afterlife vary because of the many different religions and beliefs. Caring for a Chinese patient may be difficult because of the difference in cultures. It is important for them to have nurses and physicians of the same sex. They are often shy, passive, and avoid eye contact, so a demanding or assertive healthcare provider may be viewed as uncaring by them. They generally do not report discomfort or pain, and it is considered impolite for them to say no, so don't take their silence for agreement. If they are nearing death, they will often refuse medications that impair consciousness for spiritual reasons. It is very important for the family to be with their loved one at the time of death. Buddhism and Taoism practices are common of those who follow the Chinese folk religion. This impacts the way they live. They strive to live in harmony with everything, everyone, and with nature. After death, it is believed that the person is judged whether they are good enough to be sent to a Buddhist paradise, a Tao dwelling place, or to heaven. If they are judged badly, they are sent to hell for a period of time where they are then reincarnated. Buddhism and Taoism practices are common of those who follow the Chinese folk religion. This impacts the way they live. They strive to live in harmony with everything, everyone, and with nature. After death, it is believed that the person is judged whether they are good enough to be sent to a Buddhist paradise, a Tao dwelling place, or to heaven. If they are judged badly, they are sent to hell for a period of time where they are then reincarnated. The Chinese believe that health is based on a state of balance between physical, social, and supernatural environments, while Western medicine is more focused on just the physical cause of illness. For them, it is hard to distinguish the physical problems from the psychological or spiritual aspect of the illness. The majority of the Chinese people prefer traditional methods of healing like acupuncture, moxibustion, and cupping. Acupuncture is more than 5,000 years old and is believed to cure disease and relieve pain. Relating to the yin and yang theory, it is considered a cold treatment. Chinese also use medicinal herbs and amulets to treat and prevent illness. Jade is a common amulet used to promote a healthy long life and is considered a powerful healing stone. Ginseng is a common herb that the Chinese use because it has a lot of different uses. It is most commonly used to stimulate and strengthen the central nervous system in cases of fatigue, exertion, weakness, and stress. It is also reported to help control diabetes and improve blood pressure. Many Chinese follow the yin and yang theory, which are powers that regulate the universe. They believe that everything in the universe contains these two aspects, both in opposition and in union. Yin is seen as the negative, cold female energy, while yang is considered to be the positive, warm male energy. The Chinese believe that each being has a function within the universe and that no one thing can exist without the others. Their goal is to achieve harmonious balance. Any violation of this balance is said to cause illness. The onset of a mental or receiving hospital care may be difficult for the Chinese because they may not speak English or they may live in a rural area where healthcare is not readily available. For many Chinese people, the use of regular healthcare visits or trips to the hospital are usually avoided until absolutely necessary. They are more likely to go to an herbalist or a traditional folk healer before going to see a physician. They will visit hospitals if they are having little success with their first choice. When they do visit a doctor, they expect to be given a prescription because it is uncommon for them to go when they are not sick. Caring for a Chinese patient may be difficult because of the difference in cultures. It is important for them to have nurses and physicians of the same sex. They are often shy, passive, and avoid eye contact, so a demanding or assertive healthcare provider may be viewed as uncaring by them. They generally do not report discomfort or pain, and it is considered impolite for them to say no, so don't take their silence for agreement. If they are nearing death, they will often refuse medications that impair consciousness for spiritual reasons. It is very important for the family to be with their loved one at the time of death. In the past, the Chinese have been known to use donated organs from executed prison inmates, but this is actually trying to be phased out of their system right now. If they are receiving an organ from the general public, every family member must give consent before the organ is donated, and they are allowed to take back their consent up until the surgery begins. Many of them decline organ donations after death because it's believed that the body needs to stay intact so that when the spirits come back to visit Earth, they will have a place to go. They will consent to an autopsy if it is absolutely necessary for medical or legal reasons.
Goals. Short term. Patient will be able to state health risks related to obesity such as high blood pressure and coronary heart disease by end of shift. Long term. Patient will consume 2 cups of vegetables and fruits daily and will lose 30 pounds in 3.5 months. Interventions. Offer the Chinese patient contact information of dietitians in their area and of their same culture or background. Offer the Chinese patient contact information for physical trainers or cultural fitness activities in the area and of their same culture or background. Offer the Chinese patient healthy options of food important to their culture or background that also promotes the yin and yang belief of balancing hot and cold foods. Offer information on obesity, such as health risks and associated problems. Offer information on obesity health groups for the Chinese culture. Evaluation of goals. The patient's weight difference after 3 months from current visit. Is it higher or lower? The patient's food diary, healthy or unhealthy foods listed within 3 months of tracking. The patient recalling of obesity risk and health concerns related to their current health status. The patient's BMI decreases or increases after 3 months from current visit.